because he called out something correctly. But again, as I was saying, he earned his fine. If you even hint at some sort of controversy or disagreeing with the referees, the NBA is going to fine you. It doesn't matter if it's just a little side note, if you did what Mike did, and Mike might have earned himself a couple more dollars in his fine with how just adamant he was about the referees and how his team has been officiated. But Mike went all in. He said, if I'm going to pay this $25,000, I'm going to get off what I have to say and not apologize and not be apologetic. And he didn't just call out that one play, the Tyler Hero game winner. He also had this to say about how his team has been officiated pretty much this entire season.
We have to go earn our respect, because right now people get caught up in the hype and the crowd and the excitement of the crowd, and they look at what's on our jersey, I'm assuming, and see Kings and, maybe expect us to lose. I don't know. But it's just two, blatant calls that were right in front of guys. And I feel bad for my players. Slade, I don't know what the definition of a travel is. I don't know. Maybe they're caught up in the excitement of the crowd. Maybe it's the Miami Heat. We're the Sacramento Kings, and it's Tyler Hero, and it's a last-second shot or walk-off. What do they call it? Walk-off homer. So a walk-off homer shot, maybe. Maybe they're caught up. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's Mike again, really earning his money on that one. He could not have been more critical, honestly, of referees. That's about as blunt as you're going to hear from a head coach, especially now that those fines have become pretty customary. And he brings up a pretty, it's kind of like that third rail where the NBA does not want people talking about referees possibly having any sort of bias going into games or during games. Like I said, the Kings are no stranger to referees and controversy. We all know. I don't need to rehash the Tim Donaghy scandal and all of that, but that is literally exactly what the NBA is trying to avoid. Any form of controversy, any form of, speculation of collusion. They're trying to avoid that entire thing. And Mike Brown drove his point straight into that third rail. He did not care. And he brings up an interesting point. Have the Kings really been officiated differently? Do referees really expect, because the Kings are that franchise, they kind of go in knowing, or not knowing, but just even if it's subconsciously feeling like this is the Kings and they're probably going to lose this game anyway. And if I kind of see something that might look like a foul, I'm just going to call it because this team isn't good and they haven't earned my respect. And respect is actually a really big key to this. And yesterday on Cattles and Rami, they asked assistant coach Doug Christie the same exact question on what he thought about Mike Brown's comments. And this is what he had to say.
You're gonna have to take the bumps and bruises and the lumps until you draw a line in the sand, dig your feet in, and begin to do the things that we're doing. Now, the process of getting to the point where people put respect on your name, that takes a while. The reason that it takes a while is because, like I said, you got to start beating people. And once you do, and we will, when that happens, all of a sudden those things, and I believe, because I don't really do social media and all that, so I didn't see Coach's comments, but just hearing what you said, I'm totally with him 100%. It's like, oh, the Kings. Well, there was a time when it was like, oh, the Kings.
Right.
And it's just a different way. I'm saying the same words, but I'm saying them in a different way. That's okay. It'll change, but we have to continue to do the things that we're doing to make it happen.
And there you go. I love Doug is incredible. I miss Doug doing radio because he just has such a way of putting things. I love how he said, it's the Kings, but in the past it's the King. Doug is great. But there, he laid it out. He pretty much said an unwritten or an unspoken thing that there is kind of a bias where it's like you have to earn the referee's respect in a weird way. You have to earn those superstar calls as we call them traditionally, and I think at the end of the day, what Mike is really trying to do, and the point he's trying to drive home, is I don't feel like Domantas Sabonis has had a fair whistle all season. And that's been a major issue for this team, as they're already fighting an uphill battle of the 16-year playoff drought. That's on their back. They're trying to turn over this franchise and make it into a perennial winner. And it's hard to do if you feel like the referees are against you. And if your big man, your star big man, is getting called on ticky-tacky little fouls that prevent him from being in the game at the end of the game, where he can have the most impact. And we've seen in a majority of games this season, with really the Miami game being the exclusion, that Sabonis has found himself in foul trouble routinely this season. And the Kings aren't just flat out, especially, Jason Anderson actually just put out, as I'm doing this segment, that De'Aaron's supposed to play tonight. But without De'Aaron Fox, the Kings need Domantas Sabonis on the floor as much as possible, not only for his scoring, but also, as we've pointed out countless times, Sabonis is kind of the Kings' main, they funnel their offense through him. And so if he's not going to be on the floor, it just completely changes what they're trying to do, who they're trying to be as a team. So, again, I looked at some numbers. I don't think that the Kings are really refereed much differently or much worse because of who they are. They're around middle of the league in fouls called for them, like in their favor. They're 13th in the league, and they do get called for a whole lot of fouls. They're 4th right now in fouls per game, but number 1 is the Warriors in fouls per game. So I wouldn't really say that the Warriors obviously have a certain level of success, a certain pedigree. Clearly, if referees are looking at pedigree as a way of calling a game, and the Warriors have that pedigree and are not being called that way. So, it'll be interesting to see moving forward how Domantas Sabonis is refereed different, and especially De'Aaron Fox. I mean, he's a completely different player if he can get to the line 10 times a game. That would open up so much more for his offense, where he's already killing it in the paint. If he can start to get some superstar calls, I would welcome it, and I think Mike Brown would as well. That's the first segment in the books. Feels good. I got Frankie Cardicelli, my Return of the Roar co-host and Kings insider, joining me on the other side of the break. And I'm going to ask him if he truly, truly does believe that the Kings are no longer the NBA's most dysfunctional franchise. This is Kings Weekly, Sacktown Sports 1140.
At Elk Grove Honda, not only do we have a great selection of pre-owned certified cars at very fair prices, but every one of our pre-owned automobiles.
Yeah, dude. For a second, I heard you like in your microphone so on when like
the tires to brakes and engine filters.
Yeah.
Then our certified cars receive a mobile oil change and fresh fill-up with full synthetic mobile oil. We know you have lots of choices of where to purchase your next car. Come to Elk Grove Honda, home of the 180-point inspection and mobile oil change. We're in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, 799 at Elk Grove Boulevard.
Anywhere fans go to cheer on their team, there are behind-the-scenes MVPs, ensuring everything is game day ready. We see you, Joe, fixing seats so every fan can enjoy every game. And Allie, who keeps her stadium running smoothly from the moment the first game starts to the last play of the season. At Grainger, we're our MVPs, and we're always here for you with supplies and solutions for every industry and 24/7 customer support. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is for the men who never settle.
It's Kings Weekly with Chris Watkins.
Yeah. Kings Weekly. I am Chris Watkins. I should mention that this is kind of today like a Kings pre-game show, as we're leading you till noon. We have game night at 12:30, bringing you all the way till Kings pregame, starting at 1:30. Tip off at 2 o'clock right here on Sacktown Sports 1140. You can hear every Sacramento Kings game right here on Sacktown Sports 1140. Check us out on YouTube at Sacktown Sports 1140 as well. Joining me is my Return of the Roar co-host, our Sacktown Sports 1140 Kings insider, Frankie Cardicelli.
No quotations this week though, right?
No quotations this week at all. We don't need quotations for Kings insider, Frankie Cardicelli.
Happy to be here. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to have you, man. So I have to ask you this. The Kings are I was thinking about actually adding a whole segment here called Frankie's Fire Tweets because man, always on the weekly you have something that sparks a conversation that teaches somebody something. Not this week. This week, your fire tweet of the week was a meme. And that meme was one hand holding a torch that said Sacramento Kings. The hand said Sacramento Kings. The torch said most dysfunctional NBA franchise. On the other receiving end of that torch was one Brooklyn Nets. Frankie,
I wonder why.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that. Do you truly believe that the Kings have passed that torch? Are the Kings no longer the NBA's most dysfunctional franchise?
Yeah, like that was kind of just in fun. But of course, people see that and they want to bring up the fact that the 16-year playoff drought. And yeah, that's definitely an issue. But when you look at all the kind of factors that go into what the Brooklyn Nets are going through right now, what the Los Angeles Lakers are going through right now, yeah, I'm going to say the Kings are kind of taking a small step up. It's like that meme with what is it, that guy that's biting on the medal like the Olympics and everyone's kind of looking at him on like the podium and he's like in third place like, celebrating with like champagne and stuff. It's like the third place guy, but that's kind of like where the Kings are right now. They're kind of moving up that totem pole. But I think that as far as the Kings and how they've gone into this season without any drama, last year you saw Marvin Bagley the night before opening night, the statement from his agent that he wasn't going to be in the rotation. Buddy Hield just seemed like he was unhappy and didn't want to be here from, I mean, not just the beginning of last year, but from a year or 2 years ago. There has been a lot of good things about this team, and they haven't shown up in the win column yet. I mean, there's 2 games now that the Kings should have probably had. The game against the Clippers, they missed 11 free throws. And then, of course, last game, we all know about the our favorite thing, the 2-minute report, which confirms that Tyler Hero traveled. Would the Kings have won that game in overtime? I don't know. I mean, there's no point in debating that, but I think that the results are close, and this team does show a lot of promise, and most importantly, there's no drama surrounding them. Right. So for that, yeah, I threw out a little fun meme. It's all in fun. I'm not saying the Kings are better than the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets still have Kevin Durant. They do have Kyrie Irving on the roster for now, and they have Ben Simmons, who we'll see if he comes back and makes a difference. But the Kings they're on the up.
They're on the up, which is the important thing, right? As long as we're not getting deeper and deeper into the dysfunction, I guess we'll just have to take that. Something that I think I actually commented it to your exact post. I'm not entirely sure if the Kings are done with their I don't know what word to use, but the leaked jerseys. And we're going to get to actual basketball questions here in a second. But what were your thoughts on the leaked city jerseys?
I'm coming around on it. I think it's something different and new. I'm not sure how you feel about gray. I mean, I think gray.
Not a fan.
It's a pretty neutral color. I feel like I don't know how many people could hate gray. It's just fine. I think is the way I'm kind of gonna sit on that. It's just fine. Yeah. I really like last year's city edition jersey, the Sacktown, the black jerseys with the white Sacktown, the purple outline, the cursive writing. I thought that was something the Kings honestly should have kept. I think I told you last year I would have been fine if that became their permanent, one of the permanent uniforms.
They're like permanent black jerseys.
Yeah, I think that they're close, in my opinion. I mean, I have no idea. I think that they're probably close to new uniforms at some point in the near future. I think that it's been 5-6 years. Not that this even matters,
right?
Again, but it's just I think that they're getting close. So I mean, this might not even matter a year from now, but at least it's not like a couple of years ago where they had the blue Sacktown city editions and they just said Nike just said, okay, let's just make those red this year. And they both were just not my favorite.
They were both definitely not it. And yeah, I am glad to see that we have drifted away from that kind of jersey. And at least, we're getting solid colors, which is fine.
Better than neon like they have in Utah. I'm not sure what that's about.
Those are terrible.
Who likes highlighter yellow? I just don't understand that.
I can't answer that. Apparently Kyle's pointing at himself. He likes neon jerseys.
Okay. Well, that baby. There we go.
There you go. There's one. Frankie Cardicelli, Sacramento Kings insider here at Sacktown Sports 1140 is joining me. Let's talk basketball now. Kevin Huerter has been on an absolute tear, has been killing everybody. I mean, he on a nightly basis is the Kings' best or second best player, and has been absolutely lethal from beyond the arc this year. He's shooting 51% from three, 50% from the field, just under 19 points a game, has career highs in points per game, assists, 3-point makes, 3-point attempts, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and minutes. Can Kevin Huerter actually keep this I mean, 50-50 splits are insane, but can he keep that kind of level of production at a high, at an elite level?
Yeah, I don't know about the 50-50. That would be
Right.
historic.
I think that would be literally historic.
Yeah, I do think what he's been doing, maybe not the numbers. Like, I don't know if he's going to average 20 on 50 and 50 over the whole year, but just the fact that he's in a new place where he's not kind of that fourth, fifth option like he was in Atlanta. And that's what the case was. Kind of like what Harrison Barnes is going through right now, where you're kind of not really the focal point of the offense and not really even necessarily a top 3 option. So he's a top 2, top 3 option right now. He's arguably the Kings' second best scorer. I mean, especially because Domantas Sabonis is yet to kind of show his touch around the rim and stay on the floor consistently. Right. But the 3-point shooting is there. And I said this on Cattles and Rami just yesterday. The fact that he's doing it by creating his own shots. Right. That's something that we saw Buddy Hield. He was unable to do that. I mean, he would turn the ball over when he put the basketball on the floor. Never looked clean. Kevin Huerter, that's not the case. He's able to create his own shot. He's taking those step back triples from 28, 30 feet that it's like video game numbers or video game.
And it's cash every time. Like the way that the net snaps when he hits them is like
violent.
Oh, like that was going in from jump. So I've been incredibly impressed with I almost call him. It feels weird to call him Kevin. Like it feels almost like too personal.
I've seen some people are bringing over the Kayvon, but I feel like that was a name that was retired in Atlanta. But some people are using it on Twitter. I just don't know. I think he said that he wants that to stay in Atlanta.
It should. It's very funny. I really enjoy the nickname, but yeah, it is kind of like Atlanta specific. Like that's very Atlanta speak. And
I think
California and Sacramento is not Atlanta.
I'm pretty sure he said in his opening press conference in Vegas that he wants that to stay there. Right. So headband Huerter,
right? I like
going
it.
Strong,
right?
Strong,
right? Because he would probably we see players all the time like they'll blame their performances on their accessories all the time. So it's good to see Kevin Huerter play well in the headband. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And if anything, if he ever takes it off, he'll probably revert back to it because of how, this is the best basketball he's played in his entire career. And it's great to see it actually happen in Sacramento. How many times does that actually work out for us?
It's best case scenario.
Never.
I mean, you and I sat here, I think when the trade happened, the day the trade happened, we walked down the hall and we recorded about Kevin Huerter. And I think we said best case scenario, he's a knockdown shooter that can be a contributor, maybe off the bench from the starting lineup, maybe. And now we're kind of getting an emphatic no. He's going to be that guy.
Second best player or second best scorer on the team kind of stuff. So that's been very good to see. Something that hasn't been good to see is the Kings bench and just the inconsistency that we've had there. Do you feel like the bench has let this team down this season?
I don't know about let them down. I think that it's been a letdown, but there's a lot of things that are kind of factoring into a 2-5 start. One is the horrible schedule. And the second, of course, Domantas Sabonis has struggled. But yeah, the bench is probably up there as one of the biggest problems. And when you take Keegan Murray out of the equation, I think that they're one of the bottom tier bench teams in the league right now. And it's good to see Malik Monk has kind of found his offense over the past 2 games. And he looked really good last game, both shooting the basketball and as a distributor, 7 assists. I think that's his second game with 7 assists this season.
Yes, he's had, I think, 2 with 7 and 1 with 6.
So that's good. That's huge. And I think that's one of the main reasons why they brought him here, to be that scoring punch off the bench and another guy who can put the ball on the floor. And you don't have to worry about him making those awful turnovers. But definitely disappointing. And that kind of goes back to the way Davion Mitchell has played. He's kind of, I think, getting a lot of criticism right now from around the Kings fan base. And he had a good game a couple nights ago when De'Aaron Fox went down. But it's kind of posing that question of, is he a backup point guard? And I don't know. I think the numbers have shown he plays better in a starting role. He is more comfortable in a starting role where he's playing 30 to 35 minutes a night. And I think even last game against the Heat, I think he only played 10 minutes, 11 minutes, or 20. Well, that was 20 minutes, but he started. But I went tonight. He's probably going to play like 10, 11, 15 minutes. Right. It's not like last year where he played 30 to 35 minutes per night off the bench.
I believe
he finished games last year.
We're talking about Davion, correct?
Yeah.
I believe Davion, he is. Davion's averaging 19 minutes per game so far this season.
And he just was a guy that was playing a lot down the closing stretch of the season. Sure, De'Aaron Fox was hurt and he had the hand injury, but It's just, I think he's better in a starting role, and I don't know if he's comfortable in the bench role. Clearly not right now, both him and Rashawn Holmes.
I agree 100%, and that's actually what we're going to talk about next segment. So before we get there, give me your predictions for the week. The Kings play Orlando today. They play Golden State on Monday, Cleveland on Wednesday, Lakers on Friday. How do you think we do? Is that 2-2, 3-1, 4-0?
They're going to play an angry Golden State Warriors team on Monday night after they lost to the Magic. No, 1-3 maybe. I don't know.
Right.
The schedule's going to open up at some point, just not yet. But I hope they can sneak a couple. I always like to err on the side of caution, so I'm going to say 1-3. But I hope for 2-2.
You heard it here first. So if the Kings don't do well, it's because Frankie was too negative. Frank, will you stick around for next segment? Beautiful.
Absolutely.
So yeah, next segment we're gonna talk about some of the Kings that have struggled this season. So definitely be sure to stick around for that. This is Kings Weekly, Sacktown Sports 1140.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stuff.
Will save water during the drought.
Segment. De'Aaron Fox has played some of the best basketball of his career. Keegan Murray has had a good start to his career, though he's kind of started to hit some roadblocks here. But there have been a couple players on the Kings who have definitely stuck out, who are really struggling to start this season, and I kind of just wanted to go through them and give my thoughts on them. First off is Harrison Barnes, who's the only starter that I'm going to be talking about. Harrison is just not playing well right now. His shot's not falling. Both, we've seen he's kind of a streaky player. He traditionally has these games, he'll have 20-point performances, 15, 17, 18, and then he'll go 4 or 5 straight games of having under 10 points. And it's incredibly frustrating. I think that level of consistency is kind of why Harrison Barnes isn't in that kind of next category of players, because at his best, from what we've seen, Harrison can do a little bit of everything. He can attack the rim. He's got that little slow-mo Euro step that he really loves and is super effective. He's really strong, and I thought last year he used his body a lot more and a lot better than I'd ever seen him in his career. He's obviously a really good shooter when he's locked in. But to start the season, he's at 11.5 points per game, shooting 38% from the field. Shooting here's the one that really, really hurts. 17% from 3 to start this season.
For a guy who was the best 3-point shooter on the team last year. Right. After obviously the Halliburton Healy trade, but he was their 3-point leader.
He was their threat. And to not have Harrison Barnes playing at his, it's tough because, again, like with how well Kevin Huerter is playing, with the addition of Keegan Murray, especially in the starting lineup, those are guys who are essentially taking Harrison Barnes's role. I mean, last year he was the best, kind of our only good 3-point option in the starting lineup. And this year, with the amount of shooters, I think he's really struggling to kind of find where he can pick and choose his spots for a guy who already was very particular about picking and choosing his spots. And it's just kind of the passiveness, I think, that's really stuck out to me. And it's hard. It just seems hard for him to get in a rhythm for whatever reason, where he's getting the minutes, but he's just not having the production. Is that kind of what you're seeing too?
I mean, yeah, the shots, his field goal attempts are down across the board. I mean, he was at almost 11 last season, down to 8.9 this season, almost 5 threes per game last year, down to 3. As you said, 17%. I just think that he's being more passive. I think that's something that you said when we recorded on Thursday, that it's just not like him. More plugs. It's just not. It's not the Harrison Barnes that we've been used to seeing. And again, it's just kind of, I don't want to make the excuse. It's early. It's been 7 games, but he is, I don't want to say having to reinvent himself. At one point I made the other day too, was he's been in this role before. It's different circumstances. He was a 4th, 5th option on the Golden State Warriors, a championship team. The Kings aren't that, but he's kind of back in that similar position here where he is not a top option. He is a 4 or 5 option. And that's kind of something he's not really comfortable with right now. But the numbers, if you squint your eyes and kind of close out and not look at the field goal percentages, the 11 per game, 5 rebounds, it's pretty close to what he averaged in 2015-16 with the Warriors, 11 and 5 as well. So it's just kind of that 4th, 5th option. Yeah, getting used to it.
The percentages have not been there. And to me, that's the most alarming part. Because again, like he does this, and I looked at his numbers, some of his numbers from last year. He had a 6-game stretch in mid-November last year where he was at 13, just under 14 points a game, but was shooting 42%, 27% from 3. It's just a part of his game for whatever reason. It's struggling to find consistency. He also had a 10-game stretch in late December, early January, 12.2 points a game, again 42% from the field, but shooting 51% from 3. So that's kind of like, that is the Harrison Barnes experience, is like even if he's shooting well, again, he'll be too passive, and it's like, we need him to be a certain caliber of player for this whole thing to work. And I just don't think it's going to work. The Kings aren't going to get to where they want to get to if Harrison Barnes is not that solid role-playing piece that we have seen him be in the past.
Yeah. I mean, he was supposed to be a huge part of his team, and especially in a contract year. I think you and I both expected.
Yes.
I think you made that point a couple of times on our podcast and this show, that you expected big things from contract year HB. Harrison. But it's not going that way so far. But again, it's early. We've seen Harrison Barnes. He is streaky. He could rattle off a 4 or 5 game streak of games where he has 15, 16 points and shooting well from the field. But if he's not going to be that 15, 16 point per game guy, he needs to hit those open shots, and he's just not hitting them right now. And even when he's using his body to get into the paint, those looks that we've seen him take over the years, and he's honestly an efficient player in and around the rim, they aren't falling either. So kind of lost right now, still trying to figure out where he fits in the offense. I think Mike Brown's also trying to figure out what way to best utilize Harrison Barnes, but he's unfamiliar / familiar if you want to count the Golden State Warriors, but unfamiliar in Sacramento territory.
Right. He's not the only one who has struggled though this year. I mean, it would be unfair to blame the Kings' lack of early success on just Harrison Barnes. I think Davion Mitchell, we touched on a little bit in that previous segment. He's really struggled to find his game. This is not the year 2 I think he was hoping for by any stretch. It was good to see him play really well against the Hornets, especially, De'Aaron goes out with 6:20 in the second quarter, doesn't come back. And Davion really had himself a moment. I mean, he was already doing really well. I have it written down here. He was 4 for 4 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3 just in that first quarter. So even with De'Aaron on the floor, he was finding a way to make an impact. But once De'Aaron came off, he kept that production going and finished. He was 8 of 9 and 4 of 5 from 3. So, it was good to see Davion have that kind of game. And we don't need Davion to be perfect offensively. That, he had an incredible game and only missed 1 shot. But if he can be half of that or just a piece of that for moments, I think that's the Davion Mitchell that we hope to see, thrown on top, of course, with his incredible ball pressure defensively.
Shots need to fall. I mean, it's pretty simple. Shots need to fall. League. And if you're not producing, if you're taking shots and they're not falling and you're taking a good amount of shots, which Davion he's an aggressive player on the offensive end. And if those aren't working, the bench unit's not going to work as a whole. And especially when you factor in that Richaun Holmes is not the Richaun Holmes that we have come to know. And he is, again, as far as players that are lost, he looks lost out there on both ends of the floor. And it's unfortunate because of how well he's played here for the majority of his Kings career. And even the push shots, I think he made a push shot last game. And I thought, is that the first push shot I've seen this season?
It's the first one he's made for sure. He's taken, I think, 3 total, and he's missed the first 2. And Richaun is actually the third player, unsurprisingly, on my list here where I think Richaun and Davion, to your point, kind of have the same struggle where it's just they're in such a lesser role than what they've been in the past. Davion obviously this is only his second season here, but Davion went from 27.5 minutes last year. He's now at 19.7. Last season, he took 11.2 field goals per game. He's now down almost halved that to 6.6 per game. Rashawn's kind of the same story where he's taking a career low 2.6 field goals per game. Richaun is taking under 3 shots every game. And he's got career lows I have written down here in points per game. This is Richaun Holmes, career lows so far this season, points per game, blocks, steals, assists, offensive rebounds, free throw attempts, field goal attempts, and a career low in minutes.
He's not a backup center. I just don't think at this point in his career he's a backup center. I think he's proven he is best suited in a starting role.
Right.
And it makes you kind of wonder, and he's not a rim protector. He's not. I mean, he played solid defense, so I think he had a block and a half per game a year or 2 ago. It's just he's not a known rim protector. And I'm not saying Alex Len is either, but it makes you kind of wonder in a game like today against the Magic, who everybody in their starting lineup is 6'10" or taller, except the point guard, Jalen Suggs. Yeah. It makes you wonder if you want to go to Alex Len tonight and just kind of see maybe his length and the fact that he can protect the rim a little more. Will that make a difference? But he's someone to keep an eye on because I don't think he's best suited in a bench role. I think the Kings should look to upgrade their bench center position, and then they should look to give Richaun a shot somewhere else where he can start. But it might come to that later on. But unless he can kind of get going here, it might be push come to shove time.
Would you almost rather have kept Damian Jones and put him as the backup center? Because kind of like to your point, I just think Richaun, for whatever reason, which is strange also, because if I can go on a little side tangent here, like when Richaun came to Sacramento, he was our bench center. He was behind Dwayne Dedmon, and his play earned him the starting. Like Richaun 100% earned his minutes here in Sacramento and deserved to be a starter with how he played. And it's just so strange to me that he spent pretty much his entire career as a bench player, and now just kind of seemingly, I mean, after 2 or 3 years of being a starter, just can't find that rhythm that he was accustomed to at one point.
Yeah, I mean, Damian Jones he had a very good end of season as well.
Right.
Sabonis was out. He got to prove that he can play in this league. Now he's in LA and he's kind of buried in the rotation down there.
Mm-hmm.
If the Kings had him, yeah, I think it'd be nice to kind of throw him out there and see what you have.
Just because he is a backup, he knows that he's a backup center and he knows that role almost exclusively.
Yeah, I mean, Rashawn, he was, like you said, he was that, but he earned that right to be a starting center. He performed well. He beat out Dwayne Dedmon, who got a lot of money from the Kings. I don't know if they're still paying him.
I hope not.
I hope not.
I hope they're not paying him to hit two garbage. I cannot express how angry it made me to see Dwayne Dedmon just cash
the ball go in. The ball go in general.
Gosh,
just what do you shoot? 17% from 3 with the Kings.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know because it felt like every single 3 he took here in Sacramento missed.
Why does that always happen?
I have no idea. You and I talk about this all the time. Like the Marco Bellinelli is like definitely the most notorious between you and I, at least, of like this guy has literally been good everywhere that he has been. And he was good the second he left the team.
If you don't believe us, go look at Marco Bellinelli's basketball reference, everybody. He had only one down shooting year from 3, and it was in Sacramento. It's honestly incredible.
It's incredible.
So, yeah, I don't know. Back to my point, I guess, Rashawn he beat out Dwayne Dedmon, who was not performing, earned a right to start. I think that he himself as a basketball player now is a starter. I think he feels comfortable in that role. The trade kind of came out of nowhere last year for Domantas Sabonis. It kind of turned Rashawn Holmes' playing world upside down and sent him back to that bench role. And ever since, it just hasn't been the same. So it's gonna be interesting to watch the next couple of weeks go by, especially the next months as we get closer to February's trade deadline. But it's not looking good as a bench role for Rashawn right now.
This is way too early to speculate on, but at what could it get to a point where maybe you lump these 3 guys that we're talking about right now? Does Monty McNair maybe look to get pieces that just fit better? Again, like maybe you ship Rashawn Holmes off and you don't get value-wise what you should, but again, like maybe you get in return a backup center who again is more suited to be the backup. Like at what point for you, or do you think it'll get to a point where Monty might have to look to fix this problem instead of it being a coach problem?
I think he's always looking, and I don't know if it's time to hit eject on some of these guys right now. I think Davion is someone I would like to have a player like Davion Mitchell around for the long haul and be a part of this core. But yeah, it's going to come down to what assets do you have, and he's kind of one of the more attractive assets on this team. Just the fact that he's young, controllable, under contract, and can play defense at a very high level, which is a lot of teams aren't going to shy away from bringing in an impact defensive guard. So he's kind of their most attractive asset, and that would be kind of the hardest thing to part with. But if we get to mid-season and the Kings are kind of hovering around that familiar territory of, well, they're a game out of the play-in and they're 2 games under 500, then what do you do? Like, who do you move? Because you could move Harrison Barnes. I don't think his value will be that high, especially if he's not playing well. But his value won't be high alone because he's an expiring contract. So you're going to get a maybe late 2nd round pick, or I don't even know if that's, why would you? I mean, he's going to be a free agent.
That's
so
the thing.
It's going to come down.
It doesn't make your team better.
No, it's going to come down to where they are in the standings, I think. And if they are underperforming in January, maybe late December, maybe there could be like a head turning move that happens.
Appreciate you, Frank. Thank you so much for joining me. Always appreciate you. I know. Yes. Well, we'll definitely have to work you in more than your current scheduled every other week.
You know where I work. You know where
I do know where to find you.
Where I work.
Frank, you can read his work at Sacktown Sports 1140. He's incredible. Definitely follow him on Twitter. F Cardicelli 3. If you don't know how to spell it, just try. Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I spell it all the time for our podcast. CARTOSCELL.
Yes. Yes, Italian last name. They usually have 2 letters at the end.
Okay.
Impressive. Thank you. We are friends.
Hey.
Thanks, man.
My God. Appreciate you. All right. Coming up, we're going to wrap this thing up. I'm going to give you, we're going to look ahead. Like I said, this is the pre-game show. Pre-game show. So we're going to look ahead to the Orlando Magic and the week ahead for Sacramento Kings basketball. This is Kings Weekly, Sacktown Sports 1140.
Log on to Sacktown Sports' YouTube channel following every Kings game this season for the Sacktown Sports Kings Recap. Carmichael Dave, Nick Cattles, Rami Makloff, and Chris Watkins interact with you directly after every Kings game all season long. Subscribe now and get notifications by searching for Sacktown Sports on YouTube.
Kings get the victory, and the celebration continues
on Sacktown Sports, the flagship station of your Sacramento Kings.
In the race for state senate from Sacramento, there's only one candidate with a history of focusing on local issues like crime, high costs, and homelessness. Angelique Ashby.
There's only one candidate with a proven record of independence and working across the aisle to find common sense solutions. That's also Angelique Ashby.
There's only one person endorsed by firefighters and police because of her proven track record fighting for public safety. And once again, that's Angelique Ashby.
And there's only one candidate who's a community activist and who's not indebted to the insiders and special interests. Yep, Angelique Ashby.
She's the only one who stands up and stands out. The one who's different from the career politicians just looking for the next office to run for.
Angelique Ashby. She's the only one with the courage to fight for us.
Ad paid for by Californians to protect local jobs and communities. Sponsored by Hawaiian Gardens Casino. Committee major funding from Hawaiian Gardens Casino. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Hanley's Kia in Davis is having its biggest sales event of the year. Our November Black Friday sales event is here. Our inventory is growing daily. Don't miss your chance for great deals now on all new Kias. Get $1,000 off MSRP on the all-new redesigned 2023 Kia Niro Hybrid. Rated at over 50 miles per gallon. 10 to choose from at this price. Come check out Hanley's Kia's inventory of gas-saving models during our Black Friday sales event. Rio, Soul, Forte, Niro Hybrid. K5, Stinger, EV6 plug-in, Seltos SUV, Sportage Hybrid SUV, Sorento Hybrid and plug-in SUV, and Telluride SUV. We offer zero down, special APR financing, and we can also help with any credit problems. Don't miss your chance. It's here, the Hanley's Kia Black Friday sales event. Hanley's Kia is located at 4318 Childs Road, just off I-80 at the Mace Boulevard exit in Davis.
$1,000 off MSRP on all new 2023 Niro hybrids. All financing subject to credit approval. All offers expire 11/30/2022.
I think the dining room table is one of the most important pieces of furniture in a home. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa for Naturewood Home Furnishings. The dining room is not only where families share meals prepared with love for relatives and guests, but also where the warm conversations remind us why those around our table are so important to us. Right now, Naturewood Home Furnishings is offering more than 150 new dining tables during their in-stock dining sale. All dining room furniture is on sale, including tables, chairs, hutches, and buffets. You can choose from casual to formal and in between. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings so when that doorbell rings and your company is waiting, you can be proud to seat them around your new dining room with the distinctive pieces of furniture that you'll love for their individuality today and you'll treasure for memories you'll have for tomorrow. Naturewood Home Furnishings off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
What's your least favorite season? Now, if you're like me, it's cold and flu season. So get relief from it this year with Mucinex DM. With cough and chest congestion relief for 12 hours in just one dose. That's 3 times longer than 4-hour products. Mucinex DM makes any season comeback season. Even cold and flu season. Get 3 times the relief in just one dose with Mucinex DM. It couldn't be simpler. Nothing lasts longer among over-the-counter cough and cold remedies. Mucinex DM provides 12 hours of relief for chest congestion and cough, day or night. Use as directed.
Fall is in the air, and that means fall grilling, tailgate parties, and so much more. Now is the perfect time to stock up on all this incredible flavor and take advantage of 50% off site-wide by shopping Omaha Steaks Friends and Family Sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code SIZZLE at checkout to get $30 off your order. Visit omahasteaks.com, promo code SIZZLE at checkout. Minimum order may be required.
Sure, we have 30 seconds to tell you that drivers who switch to Progressive could save big. But then what? Well, there is a nice piece of stock music playing behind me that a talented composer worked really hard on. So let's enjoy it. Wow, almost overshadows the saving big when you switch to Progressive part. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Check out my friends at Downtown Ford. New location, new ownership, and absolutely no markups. That's unheard of. Downtown Ford, 1535 Howe Avenue in Sacramento. Come see Aaron because I guarantee you he's got what you're looking for.
At Elk Grove Honda, not only do we have a great selection of pre-owned certified cars at very fair prices, but every one of our pre-owned automobiles are treated with kid gloves with a 182-point inspection that covers everything from unibody to tires to brakes and engine filters. Then our certified cars receive a mobile oil change and fresh fill-up with full synthetic mobile oil. We know you have lots of choices of where to purchase your next car. Come to Elk Grove Honda, home of the 182-point inspection, Automation and Mobile Oil Change. We're in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, Highway 99 at Elk Grove Boulevard.
It's hard to find a better selection of 4x4s in stock and ready to drive home today than you'll find at M&S Auto on El Camino right off the Cap City Freeway. New truck prices keep rising. M&S invites you to tour their selection of super clean 4x4s and trucks and save thousands. Tacomas, F-150s, Jeeps, Rams, Silverados. Great deals today on hundreds of 4x4s, SUVs, and muscle cars. First-time buyers are welcome. M&S Auto Sales, El Camino, just off the Cap City Freeway. MSAutogroup.com.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sacktown Sports IMAX Pass by visiting sacktownsports.com and sign up today. You can win tickets to see upcoming films at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Hey, it's Nick Cattles, and you should start your holidays right with the amazing Napoleon Prestige line of outdoor cookers from California Backyard. My Napoleon Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill is turning me into a pro. Think outside the kitchen this year and cook your entire holiday meal on a Napoleon gas grill. Napoleon, their grills are built to last. I'll tell you right now, all made with premium steel that boasts quality. Check out Napoleon Grills today at any of the 4 nearby California Backyard locations. They're always the best in backyard living. Check them out at Napoleon.com.
It's Kings Weekly with Chris Watkins.
Kings Weekly. Last segment. Put a nice little bow on this show today. It was a good show. Frankie Cardicelli joined us. If you missed any of the show, you can tune in on YouTube at Sacktown Sports 1140. Rewind, play back anything you missed. See me and Frank's face. And yeah, definitely if you're in the YouTube right now, be sure to hit a thumbs up so the algorithm will push us to others who are trying to get this kind of content. And again, I'm trying to prove that I'm the best one here. I can get the most interaction. So it's kind of like a little game. So I'm trying to win, and I need y'all help. So definitely be sure to like. Hit that like button and subscribe and whatever other things YouTubers say all the time to close their video. We're going to close things out here. Like I said, we're going to look ahead to the following week. I've not had a chance to do this segment yet because I've been over prepping like crazy. So I'm excited to finally do this. And Kyle, go ahead and hit that sound for Game of the Week.
Here's Kings Weekly's Game of the Week.
You hear that? That sounds official. That just sounds so official. Oh, I like the music under it too. Okay, we're doing things. Are we a radio show right now? Okay. It's tough when you it's tough to not have the game of the week be the Kings-Lakers game. I mean, it doesn't matter that both of these teams only have 2 wins. Lakers are 2-6, Kings are 2-5. That none of that matters. It's a cliche, but you throw those records out the door when these two teams square off, okay? Because anything can happen. And we've seen just about everything happen when these two teams line up. So it's my game of the week is going to be Kings-Lakers. That's on Friday in LA at the Crypto.com Arena. Yikes. Should be a fun one. Always fun. The Kings played the Lakers in the preseason. And like I said last week, I kind of expect the Kings to be a better team than the Lakers this year. And I definitely would like to see them set the tone from the first game or first time they play them and really show how much better of a team they are, because the Kings, that's where the depth of this team, I think, will really shine in it against a team like the Lakers, where they're incredibly top heavy, having LeBron James, having Anthony Davis. I'm not throwing Russell Westbrook in that conversation anymore. He is factually on the team, but he's not nearly the impact player that he used to be. So yeah, I'm gonna go game of the week. Kings Lakers should be a fun one, and I definitely expect the Kings to come out on top. Kyle, go ahead and hit that next one.
It's Kings Weekly's matchup to watch.
I am not gonna get sick of that voice guy, man. That makes it sound so official. This one is, again, kind of an easy one. Shout out Morgan Reagan, who is all over this YouTube chat. Earlier asked which one of the rookies will win the battle tonight between Keegan Murray and Paolo Banchero, the number 1 pick in this past draft, going against the number 4 pick. I'm excited. I'm very excited to see how this one goes. Paolo has been on a tear to start his NBA career. He was, I think, his first 6 games, he scored 20 points in all of those in all of those games, and has still kept up that kind of scoring. And the Magic are coming off a really, really good win against the Golden State Warriors. Frank mentioned it earlier. The Magic are a team of giants. Their smallest player is 6'5", or their smallest starter is 6'5", Jalen Suggs. They also are throwing out 6'10" Wendell Carter, 6'10" Paolo Banchero, 6'10" Franz Wagner. Oh yeah, and 7'2", I almost called him Manute, Bol, who would have seen Bol being great, except for everyone who saw him play in high school and his short stint at Oregon. It was just going to be a matter of his body eventually catching up and being able to handle the physicality of being an NBA center. But Bol has been absolutely incredible this season. I'm incredibly excited to watch him play. But that's not what this game is going to be about. The Keegan Murray Paolo Banchero matchup, and I'm definitely pulling for Keegan, but I think tonight's going to be Paolo Banchero's night, and he's going to want to show people that he is the best rookie in this class, and he has definitely proved that. But it's always there's always battles with people who are in your draft class. You always remember who was taken your year. Usually it's who was taken in front of you. So I'm sure Keegan is going to have that kind of fire tonight, whatever fire for Keegan Murray looks like. But it's going to be exciting, and I definitely expect both of them to definitely get up some shots, but wouldn't be surprised if both players end up with over 20 tonight, because Keegan's been slumping, and I would really like to see him kind of get back to the Keegan that we've seen. And now that'll take us on to storylines.
Here's Kings Weekly's top storyline.
Love it. This one was the question I asked Frankie at the end of his first segment. Predictions. Can the Kings take care of business? Can they do what needs to be done this week? They play the Orlando Magic today at 2:00, play Golden State on Monday, play Cleveland, who has played like one of the best teams in this league so far, especially with the addition of I almost did Donovan Mitchell. It's, that Cleveland team is incredibly scary. And then they play the Lakers on Friday. And then we'll be right back here on Saturday for another Kings Weekly. Can they take care of business? The Orlando Magic, they've struggled this year. I'm not sure if the Warriors game was their second win or if it was their third win on the season, but they're slow to get out the gate. The Lakers have been slow to get out the gate, as I mentioned. And the Kings need to beat those two teams if they're trying to be that play-in team, that playoff team that they're hoping to be this year. You need to take care of the teams that you're better than, or that Kyle's confirming for me. The Orlando Magic have 2 wins this season. They just got their second win against the Warriors the other night. So yeah, the Kings need to beat those two teams at least, in my opinion, in order for this week to be viewed as a success and kind of, again, get the ball rolling in the wins column, because the more and more that the win-loss becomes unbalanced, you're just digging yourself a deeper and deeper hole. And I don't think that the schedule is going to lighten up for the Kings anytime soon. So if you can maybe sneak one against a Golden State team that's struggling right now, that would be ideal. You hope to not get swept. They play the Warriors 3 times in the first 15 or so games. You hope to not get swept by that team. You would hope to pick one up. It would be very big if that one can be on Monday. We'll play best case scenario here. If the Kings can win today, beat Golden State on Monday, kind of gives you some leeway, where, again, like Cleveland is playing like some world beaters right now. And, you hope to get some home wins, but it's just going to be a tough game. And then again, can you take care of business on Friday? Beat the sorry Lakers, please. Sacramento Kings, I'm looking at you. Beat the Lakers, please. I can't stand Laker fans being happy. That's if I had to give an overall prediction, if I'm going to put my stamp down, I made Frank do it, so I gotta live up to that same standard. It's tough, because it's like, what do I want to happen and what do I think will happen? I obviously want them to prove that point, go 3-1, but it just feels like Frankie is right. And it's 2-2 hopefully, and I could definitely see them dropping tonight's game, or it's not tonight, today's game, and then dropping Warriors, dropping Cleveland. But we're not losing to the Lakers. Okay, we are not losing to the Lakers. That's not happening. Thank you so much, everyone who joined. Frankie Cardicelli, as always, my guy. Kyle, other side of the glass, my guy. Everyone on YouTube, my people. On the radio, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week, next Saturday, 11 o'clock, Kings Weekly, right here in Sacktown Sports 1140.
You want Kings talk?
I'm a diehard Kings fan.
There's nowhere else you need to go but here. Kings games, Kings interviews, Kings breaking news, Kings coverage. Nobody has it all but us. Sacktown Sports, your local sports leader.